Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to the dceu Daily. Remember, you can tag me and follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. If you can hear the lawnmower or strimmer kind of buzzing away out there, I'm sorry about that. But there's nothing I can do about it, so shall we get on with the show? So today's lead story is this. David Ayer still hopes for the Suicide Squad director's cut. David Ayer still holds out hope for the director's cut of 2016 Suicide Squad will be released despite Warner Media CEO saying no to it last week. Right, just like me, Rachel Abernathy, who's done this Screen Rant article, has made the mistake of saying that Ann Sarnoff is actually the CEO of Warner Media. She's not, because if she was, there'll be nothing to discuss. That will be the end of it. But she's only the Warner Brothers Pictures CEO, thankfully, and hopefully only temporarily. So, we got that out of the way. Let's discuss. David Ayer, helmer of the 2016 Suicide Squad, still has hope there will be a director's cut release for the much maligned film. Prior to its release, the dceu Suicide Squad was highly anticipated among fans, drawing up excited buzz with its Queen-backed trailers and colourful posters. However, the film itself proved to be a massive disappointment, not to me, with many taking issue with the jumbled plot and tone. It wasn't a jumbled plot, right? I mean, I don't know, right? Because the way it was, we saw it, was that David? Actually, we know it wasn't David, the way it was jumbled and everything, the editing, right? Because basically, a music video editing company put that film together. You know, the writer-director had nothing to do with that, which makes things even worse, right? So you can't even criticise David for that. Anyway, but with many taking issue with the jumbled plot and tone, Ayer has since opened up and how Warner Brothers meddling ultimately forced Suicide Squad in a different direction than he had initially planned. The studio was displeased with the reactions to the gloomy Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice and sought to prevent Suicide Squad from going the same way. It is staggering, though, isn't it, that they thought putting bright colours in and jumbled editing would change the situation, although that cut did nearly make $800 million at the global box office. I don't know what to think about that. I actually, even though it's a shit show, the way they treated David, the film isn't that bad, actually, and I quite enjoyed it. Last year's announcement that the famed Snyder Cut of Justice League, which fans had spent years fighting for, would debut on HBO Max gave rise to several fan campaigns in the hopes that they could get a similar results for projects they felt studios had neglected. Well, we were only fighting for the Snyder Cut and the Ayer Cut, not 500 other things, Rachel. Anyway, this included Ayer's Suicide Squad director's cut. Ayer encouraged fans to reach out directly to Warner Media about Suicide Squad, and some fans have indeed tried to promote the cause. However, Warner Brothers Pictures, Rachel, CEO Ann Sarnoff said just last week that the studio had no plans to release the Suicide Squad Ayer Cut. Ayer initially responded to the news on social media with a disappointed face, but now he's spoken out a bit more on the subject. Actually, he quote-tweeted the article and said, why? Don't forget that, Rachel. So he's not having none of it. In a new interview with EW, Ayer shared the continued hopes he has for a Suicide Squad director's cut. He believes the intense fan response to the Snyder Cut can spur change in how studios look at their projects. I think the studios see now that there can be canon, there can be non-canon. The fans just want to touch it. They love the characters, they just want to spend more time with it. And people are way more sophisticated about how movies are made and want to be participants in the journey. There's room for different things, different versions, different assets being shared with the audience. I think it just helps strengthen the community. But absolute credit to Warner Brothers for supporting Zack and having the courage to explore that. That's David Ayer. So he gives him a little compliment, but really he's pissed off with them. And he's fighting back from what Ann Sarnoff said. Make no mistake about that. Additionally, Ayer added he still feels frustrated with how the initial Suicide Squad turned out, particularly since his cut was an amazing movie. I get it. It's a business. It's frustrating because I made a really heartfelt drama and it got ripped to pieces. They tried to turn it into Deadpool. Fucking hell, he's really throwing them under the bus, isn't he? Which it just wasn't supposed to be. And then you take the hit. You're the captain of the ship. My name was on it, laughs. even though it didn't represent what I actually made. I would take all the bullets and be a good soldier. I made an amazing movie. It's an amazing movie. It just scared the shit out of the executives. Jesus Christ. When looking at the Snyder Cut, it's easy to believe strong fan interest can make anything happen. However, the two situations are really quite different. Director Zack Snyder had to depart Justice League over a family tragedy, and the resulting version of the film was unlike what he initially planned, like David Ayer, Rachel. Fans campaigned for 3 years to see the Snyder Cut, and they employed methods like billboards, fundraising efforts, and endless hashtags. Any potential movement for the Ayer Cut has yet to do this on the same scale as the release of the Snyder Cut campaign. No, we haven't done it on that campaign, but the Ayer Cut events have actually trended, and I think we're doing another one soon. I think we should do a Restore the Snyderverse, Release the Ayer Cut campaign, all in one. 2 huge trending events, 2 huge hashtags. It would be amazing and it would work. Rachel, those other things don't have to happen. A man doesn't have to lose his daughter to suicide for us to campaign and be successful in that campaign to get his true vision released. And the reasons for Suicide Squad's alterations didn't stem from tragedy, just studio interference. Look, Rachel, the Snyder Cut wasn't released because, tragically, Autumn took her life. And if you really believe that studios really, and I'm sorry to say this if it sounds disrespectful, give a shit about a man's child taking her own life, because they don't. They don't care about Zack's grief. If they cared about Zack's grief, they wouldn't have said that he moved away from the production and forced him to say the same thing because of his daughter's tragedy. He did. That was partly the reason he left, because of the pressure, the toxicity they put his way. So basically, that's what I'm saying to you, Rachel. You're actually wrong. On the other hand, for Ayer to see something he worked so hard on get needlessly trashed because of decisions he did not make must be difficult. Ayer stands by the Suicide Squad he made, and he would like to share it with the world. That's understandable. Whether Warner Media will feel the same remains to be seen, though right now, it's just not happening. Thank you, Rachel, for pointing out the fucking obvious. Right. I think we'll see David's version of the movie. Basically, David's come out and gone like that to Anne Sarnoff. It's like nobody actually respects this woman, no directors, nobody. Nobody's actually listening to her. And the trending event, which was a reaction to her hit piece with Variety, actually proves this. Look, there's 3 things here. We want to restore the Snyderverse. We want to release the Ayer Cut. And something else. We want Henry Cavill back as Superman, not just in Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods, not just in Black Adam, but in his own Superman movies. That's what he deserves. Now, if you restore the Snyderverse, he can do stuff with Zack over on HBO Max, and you can have your Superman of colour or whatever you're going to do in the central universe. That's fine. That's cool. This is the 3-pronged attack that we must work on from here on in. Because I think Henry and Ray Fisher have been treated disgustingly. But let's look at Henry Cavill's Superman, a celebrated Superman by even people who do not like Snyder's interpretation of his Superman. Everyone's a fan. Go on TikTok, right, where the youth of today are. They love this Superman. They love him in The Witcher. They want him to play James Bond. The youth of today love Cavill. Are you listening to the youth of today, Warner Brothers Pictures? No, you're not. Let's go back to the history of this with Cavill, right? Because what actually happened was, after Justice League and what they did to him, they hacked off his face with awful CGI, right? None of that was his fault. He went on to do another project. He grew a moustache because that was part of the role, right? And then they decided to do reshoots. They didn't actually have to reshoot Zack's work. All they had to do was nail it down to 2 hours, 2 hours, 10 minutes or something. And that film is good enough to put out. Zack actually made a 2 hour, 20 minutes, 2.5 hours cut of his film, right? They could have put that film out but they wanted to change the colour the colour palette, right? And the tone of the movie. That's where it all went wrong. So anyway, they blamed Cavill for the failure of Justice League. And a few months later, they had announced via a publication with The Hollywood Reporter that they were resting Superman. Disgusting. I couldn't believe it when I read it. And you remember my reaction to that article? I said, surely this is not true. Who in their right mind, and these people clearly are not in their right minds, would actually rest Superman? And so that's what they did. So Cavill fought back, but not the way Ray Fisher did. He didn't expose secrets or toxicity. What he did was get Christopher McQuarrie, the director of Mission Impossible Fallout, to write. Him and Chris actually wrote a script for a Superman movie. They took it to Warner Brothers and they said no. Now, I would have my doubts that Christopher McQuarrie would have the capabilities. I don't know him very well as a filmmaker. I've only seen what he's done with Tom Cruise, but I just don't feel he has the tools in his closet to make an epic Superman movie. But Henry, you must understand, Henry was desperate at this point, and he was just trying to put pressure on Warner Brothers Pictures publicly. When he was talking about Mission Impossible Fallout, he was talking about what kind of Superman film he wanted. In fact, he even asked a fan, "What do you want?" So he was really out there campaigning for his own Superman movie. This is how desperate this guy wants to play Superman. He's a fan, he's a geek, he's a nerd, just like you and me. And the treatment of benching this guy, benching the greatest fictional character of all time, will disgust me till the day I die, right? I was watching a video interview where Zack and Sean O'Connell and a few other people were talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League, and he was asked directly, do you think Cavill will play Superman again? He goes, if I was doing it, he would be my Superman every day. He loves Henry, right? He rang up Henry to be on the Man of Steel watch party. Henry said, no, yes, no problem. So Henry and Zack have got a great relationship, and they always have done. So he would always be Zack's Superman. But the issue is with Warner Brothers Pictures. It's clear that Warner Brothers Pictures and Henry are at an impasse unless something's been sorted out. And he will be in Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods and Black Adam. I don't know that. It's just a feeling. But I don't know if they've moved forward, if there are any negotiations, if they're talking. But it just looks like Henry pushed back quite a lot publicly, but in quite an intelligent way, getting people on his side, right, rather than being toxic about secrets and toxicity that went on the Justice League reshoots. He took another tact, a clever tact. Unfortunately, it didn't work. But it all goes down to this, and it's not about Cavill wanting more money. By the way, Cavill should be one of the highest paid. He's playing Superman, and he's not. He wasn't one of the highest paid actors on Justice League. You know, you've got Ben Affleck. I think Gal Gadot gets more money than Henry as well. So, you know, if Henry was wanting more money, quite right too. But that was never the issue. Henry Cavill wants a Codex sequel. He's always wanted a Codex sequel, right? The Codex was never dealt with in BVS because that was David Goyer's story, and Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder wanted to go on another direction, and that's perfectly fine. But that Codex story could and would be a compelling story. You know, Superman, Cal, has got a billion life forms inside him. And if you extract those, something compelling could really happen. So that's the three-pronged attack we need to work on. Restore the Snyderverse, release the air cap, and bring Henry Cavill back and Ray Fisher back as Cyborg and as Superman. For now, on today's DCEU Daily, let's focus on Arrowverse for a couple of articles. Theory: Black Mask turns Kate Kane into the Arrowverse's Winter Soldier. What? By John Atkinson of Screen Rant. The latest Batwoman episode reveals that Kate Kane factors into Black Mask's plans, which could see her turned into a Winter Soldier-style villain. The latest Batwoman episode revealed more regarding Kate Kane's traumatic situation, with Black Mask potentially set to turn her into a Winter Soldier-esque villain. Joining the Arrowverse during the Elseworlds crossover event, the Scarlet Knight was originally played by Ruby Rose. With a solo series rapidly greenlit, Batwoman Season 1 followed Kate's return to Gotham and assuming of Bruce Wayne's mantle. The character had quite the tumultuous journey across the first run of episodes, squaring off with such as the complex and sympathetic Alice, Rachel Scarston, and more overtly villainous Hush, Gabriel Mann. In the wake of the premature finale, however, Rose opted to part ways with the role. That's not the truth at all. She was fired. The official story is she left, but so much shit went down with Ruby Rose and that production. It will take me 2 hours to go into it with you. But basically, both parties, I think, are to blame. She should never have been cast. She doesn't have the acting chops for it. And removing her was the right decision, but she should never have been cast in the first place. Then she wouldn't have to go through the trauma, the accident she went through as well. Basically, this all could have been avoided. Javicia Leslie was cast as her replacement, playing a brand new character named Ryan Wilder. Leslie brought a different energy and a new dimensions to the role, alongside Luke Fox, Cameron Johnson, and Mary Hamilton, Nicole Kang. Ryan Wilder's Batwoman protected Gotham and sought to rescue Kate from the clutches of Sahil Shivani Gali in Batwoman Season 2. Episode 8 survived much worse. It was revealed that Sophia had been lying the whole time. Simultaneously, body parts matching Kate's DNA were discovered outside Bloodhaven. As a result, she was declared dead in truth. However, Kate was revealed to be alive, but grievously injured, dwelling underground and now played by Wallace Day. I love Wallace, great actor. As I said to her yesterday on Twitter, I hope they do you justice. She's not going to respond to that because she knows what I'm alluding to. Things took an even darker turn in Batwoman Season 2, Episode 9, Rule 1, when Roman Sionis Peter Outerbridge was shown to be holding Kate captive. Completely ruthless, he orchestrated the murder of the police commissioner. With equal impunity, he butchered failing members of his own gang. Talking to Ryan, however, the Arrow vs. Black Mask expressed that Gotham was the sadistic one and that he was merely changing the system from within. He also stated that everything was revenge for his daughter's death, for which he held the original Batwoman partially responsible. It was left unclear whether Black Mask was aware that Kate Kane and Batwoman were one and the same. Whatever the case, it was evident that regardless of her serious injuries, she factored heavily into his long-term plans. Despite only emerging in the latest episode, Black Mask had been teased throughout Batwoman Season 2. As the leader of the False Face Society, he was personally responsible for the drug known as Snakebite. The network he created to distribute it was fashioned by taking in abandoned and otherwise lost souls, giving them a sense of family and belonging. Sounds a bit familiar, doesn't it, in the real world, where former DC actress Alison Mack seduced young women to join basically a sex cult. So it sounds actually, it's funny how, not funny because they're victims, but it's ironic how fact and fiction can kind of cross over, and seeing that Alison was brilliant for 10 seasons of Smallville, but what she did was, I was shocked. She was a big hero of mine, really was. Giving them a sense of family and belonging. As a result, they were often more loyal than common sense would often dictate. Regardless, for all that loyalty, they were still largely untested youth. A far cry from being able to match Batwoman or Armed Forces of the Crows. Day's Kate Kane would be the perfect answer to that. After all, even if Sionis was oblivious to Kate once being Batwoman, she's well known as an accomplished and highly trained soldier. As such, once recovered from her injuries, she would no doubt be the perfect weapon against his enemies and perfect captain and the perfect captain for his gang. Black Mask's ideology is that every institution inevitably succumbs to corruption. That would actually make Kate Kane even more useful. Though his group is all about masks, he actively stated that he would teach her family to believe in life after death. That would imply that his plans for her involve operating openly. Therefore, not only would she be the perfect warrior to use as the False Face Society's primary fist, but Kate could help prove his point. As established by Ryan Wilder herself, Kate Kane was as much a hero outside of the cowl as when wearing it. What better way to have Gotham embrace his belief system than by reshaping one of its most beloved citizens into one of its most feared criminals? Through Kate, Sionis would not only be able to torment and fight back against the Crows and Kate's former friends, but he'd also be able to shape Gotham the way Hydra used Bucky Barnes to shape the world. The parallels between Bucky Barnes and Batwoman's version of Kate Kane run even deeper. Both were caught up in tragic events and believed dead. Both fell into the hands of their enemies. Both, albeit presumably in Kate's case, were turned into the ultimate weapons. It has been broadly established how Hydra managed to sway Bucky to their side, utilising torture and memory wiping prior to Shuri rebooting his mind. Bucky could also be brought under control by a few simple words. The specifics of how Bucky's brainwashing was accomplished were never officially addressed in the MCU. If Marvel's Agent Carter were made official canon, however, it would definitely have been through Johann Fainoff, Ralph Brown, a master hypnotist and a mind controller. He was the principal villain of Season 1, furthermore. He was established as having joined forces with Hydra's Arim Zola, Toby Jones. Regardless, Batwoman established that Black Mask has such a person in his employ. Equally name dropped throughout the episodes, Enigma was responsible for the memory loss of Alice, Ocean, Nathan Owens, and Julia Pennyworth. Christina Wolf, aka Christina Wolf, she was also responsible for Alice having her humanity switched off, played by Laura Mennell. Enigma emerged in person in Black Mask's side. It was made clear that Sionis wanted Kate to be put through something similar. It's time to say goodbye to Kate Kane. Enigma went on to say evidently having no issue with that request. What exactly Enigma does with Kate's mind has yet to be confirmed. Still, it's well within the realm of possibility that Black Mask wants her more loyal than such as an angelic Bevin Brew. Whatever that means. Angelic Bevin Brew. What does that mean? Turned out to be. All right. Angelic Bevin Brew is a person. Turned out to be. I don't watch Batwoman, by the way. But this is actually tempting me to start watching it. Not as prone to failure as those he punished in the episode, and able to kill as unquestionably as Alice and the Winter Soldier. In Batwoman Season 1, Episode 15, Off With Her Head, Kate gave in to the rage and killed August Cartwright, John Emma Tracy. Though Luke tried to console her with the knowledge that the Arrow vs. Batman had killed too, she reimagined guilt-ridden. As a result, Kate didn't suit up as Batwoman for over a week. If she is indeed brainwashed and turned into a weapon by Black Mask, the body count could be substantial. Of course, it likely wouldn't reach Winter Soldier levels, but the effect would be just as pronounced. That would go double if she even remotely came close to killing any of her loved ones. Like Bucky in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Kate would struggle to live with the weight of it all. How Kate responds when she breaks free of Black Mask's frail is a different question, if she does, by the way. It could go the route that she ultimately atones for a sacrificial death. You see, already you're losing me because Kate Kane shouldn't be killed off. By the way, this is the very showrunner that said, we don't want to kill our gays, right? That's what she said, remember? We discussed that last week. So if Kate sacrifices herself, there's no difference here. You can't kill off Kate Kane. Affording Kate Kane's story definitive closure, she could decide to exile herself from Gotham as Bruce Wayne did. Then again, also like Bucky Barnes, she could actively work for an entire list of amends. Whatever the case, it would make all the sense in the world after this experience for her to eschew the Batsuit again. And for more than a week this time. It's already believed that the recast of Kate Kane doesn't mean she'll be Batwoman again. She won't be Batwoman again. They're not going to take a woman of colour out the Batsuit. This is why, basically, why did you bring her back? Just to say that you're not going to kill gay people? It's ridiculous. It's already believed that recast of Kate Kane doesn't mean she'll be Batwoman again. By going this route, the show would offer legitimate and understandable reasoning for that eventuality. Yes. It's a contrivance. It sounds really good, by the way, the storyline they're doing for Wallace Day's Kate Kane here, and I like it, but it's just a contrivance to keep her out of the suit, right? They've made a mess out of the whole situation, but the way they're dealing with it is quite smart, by the way. No matter what Kate ends up doing, her refusing to suit up would make sense. Again, this journalist is repeating themselves. It's like it's making excuses for the production. Bucky having too much trauma and emotional baggage to be able to carry Captain America's shield. No, they just didn't want him to be Captain America. He would have been a great Captain America, but unfortunately, because of the colour of his skin, Bucky can't be Captain America. There you go. To be able to carry Captain America's shield. Kate would need a hell of a lot of time to feel worthy of the cowl again, if at all. In totality, despite not being the titular hero, it would give Day a lot of amazing material to sink her teeth into. Absolutely, I agree there. Equally, it would allow the show to avoid doing Leslie and Ryan Wilder a disservice while Kate receives her own fascinating arc. No, we wouldn't want to do her a disservice, even though Kate Kane is a comic book character and was there in season 1. Who's getting the disservice and who's not getting the disservice, by the way? Ryan will be able to retain the suit going into already confirmed Batwoman season 3. As such, she'll be able to continue building on the legacy she has now laid the foundation for without any questions of what legacy. She's gained something without earning it, just like Kate Kane did in the first season as well. So you're talking a nonsense, but you're defending the production, you're stirring the narrative because you want to continue to have access. That's fair enough. Batwoman is... I spoke about Supergirl yesterday, the lost potential in that show, and it's the same with this show. I wonder what would have happened and what kind of show this would have been if we had strong writing and plotting like this, and we started Wallace Day as Kate Kane from day one. We wouldn't have this clusterfuck right now, would we? We would have a really strong Batwoman. But no, they made a mess out of it. They created a new character, and now that new character is Batwoman, even though she didn't start off from the pilot episode. But this will give Kate Kane a great redemption, by the way. It gives her a great arc. It's a great storyline. And if they stick with it for the whole season or even longer, this could be very exciting. Kate Kane cannot leave this show. So clearly they're not interested in making her Batwoman again. But Kate Kane should be in a Batwoman show, or you really are betraying the character. In fact, you would be better off killing her, because if you just make her leave and say she's not important, that really is the biggest disrespect you could give that character. Yes, this is really, really exciting news for Arrowverse and fans of the Flash TV show. Flash Season 7 casts Jordan Fisher as Arrowverse's Bart Allen. Now, if you're a big Smallville fan like me, and I still watch the show, love that show, I love it. I really do love it. But we did have a Bart Allen, didn't we, in Smallville, and it was really awesome. He was a great actor, and he never mentioned his origins that much, but it was a really great cameo. I think he was in 2 or 3 episodes. He even joined Smallville's, origin of their little Justice League and everything. So it was great. They couldn't use Barry Allen back then, so they used Bart Allen. So it was really good. So it's really exciting to see a brand new Bart Allen join this show. I have some reservations, which I'll explain after I read this article from Screen Rant. So this is an article from Molly Freeman. The Flash Season 7 cast Jordan Fisher to All the Boys 2 as Bart Allen, a.k.a. Impulse, the future grandson of Barry Allen and Iris West Allen. The CW's The Flash Season 7 cast Jordan Fisher as Bart Allen, a.k.a. Impulse. That's what they called him on Smallville as well. The future grandson of Barry Allen, Grant Gustin, and Iris West Allen, Candice Patton. Throughout its 7th season run, The Flash has introduced plenty of superpowered... Let me say that again. Throughout its 7th season run, The Flash has introduced plenty of superpowered characters, both heroes and villains, as well as a number of speedsters from all around the multiverse. Though Barry may be the Arrowverse's original Flash, viewers have also been treated to other iterations from different Earths, like John Wesley Shipp's Barry from Earth 90, as well as the other speedster characters like Wally West, Kid Flash, Kanan Lonsdale, and Jesse Quick, Violet Beam. Speedster villain also appeared like Reverse Flash, Matt Lesher, Hunter Solomon, Teddy Sears, and Savitar. Like the comics, The Flash has also explored speedsters within Barry Allen's family, such as Nora West Allen, Jessica Parker Kennedy, Barry and Iris's daughter from the future, who travelled back in time to meet her father. However, when Team Flash changed the timeline and ensured Nora was never born, she was erased from the timeline. Now that leaves the Flash free to introduce another future child of the series' main couple. Now, this is my issue with it, and I'll discuss it after this article because I just feel like they're just repeating old ground. Deadline is reporting that Fisher has joined the cast of The Flash Season 7 in a guest role as Bart Allen, a.k.a. Impulse, who is Barry and Iris' future grandson, described as wildly impulsive and the fastest teenager on the planet. Fisher will first appear as Bart in The Flash's 150th episode. Awesome, I didn't know they got that far. Set to be Season 7, Episode 17. Read the full official description of the Arrowverse's Bart Allen below. Bart Allen is the future grandson of Barry Allen and Iris West Allen. Bart has a penchant for wildly impulsive behaviour, so Barry and Iris will definitely have their hands full trying to teach him patience. Barry and Iris may have their work cut out for them to wrangle Bart, but they will have to get it together if they want to stop Team Flash's biggest threat. Fisher's Bart Allen being introduced as Barry and Iris's grandson in the Flash show mirrors the comics in which Barry and Iris have a son named Don, who in turn has a son named Bart. The Arrowverse has a history of changing and adapting the source material for their series' own purposes, so it's not clear how much of Bart's origin story will remain the same. Don's character was adapted somewhat in The Flash already and introduced as one half of the Tornado Twins, but operating in 2968. So introducing Bart may require some show-specific explanation, definitely. But they're not very good at that on Arrowverse anyway. While some may be sceptical of how the show can work in Bart Allen's character, Fisher is a good get for the Arrowverse rising star since appearing in 2016's Grease Life. Yeah, the lad's very talented, no question. The actor has since co-starred in Netflix rom-coms To All the Boys, P.S. I Still Love You, and Work It. He's next set to appear in the upcoming adaptation of Jennifer E. Smith's Hello, Goodbye, and Everything in Between. Looking forward to that one, by the way. He's an excellent addition to the cast and will be fun to watch him play the impulsive young speedster. Impulse, opposite Gustin's Barry and Patton's Iris. Viewers will get to decide for themselves how they feel about Fisher's Bart Allen when he debuts later on in The Flash, Season 7. So here's my problem. Great young actor, as I've already said. I really, really like him, and he's a great kid too. He's full of energy in real life as well, by the way. But here's my issue. We've done all this with Nora, haven't we? Their actual daughter. This is their grandkid, right? Now, Bart Allen is a mythical comic book character, and I know a lot of you who watch Arrowverse, I don't, will be very excited about this. But here's the thing. As I say, we've done the kid. We've done the impulsive kid with Nora already. Look at the mistakes that character made. And that was great, and that worked then. But you're literally just repeating yourselves. And in a way, it's fan service. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no issue with fan service, being a fan myself. But how much of it is fan service and how much is this kid going to have an original, good story? And again, they have to explain kind of what they've done with this character already in the year 2938 or wherever it was as well. So it's very complicated. I think the showrunner that The Flash has got now is much improved from a few of the ones that took over from Season 3 and onwards. So, because I love Flash Season 1 and 2, but the rest, for me, disastrous. But anyway, so we're going to have to wait and see how this all works out. I'm happy for fans of The Flash that they actually get to see a live-action version of Bart Allen. I love the Smallville version, and I think this kid is going to be great too. Should we talk about the Gotham spin-off? Should I start again? Should we talk about the Batman spin-off, Gotham PD? There are no good cops in the Gotham PD series, says showrunner by Flynn Tamari. Obviously, this show is commentary on what's going on with police in America right now, and, they haven't got a good reputation. We must remember there are, I would say 3/4 of the police force in America are very good men and women and, however else they identify as. I've got to be clear about that, but there's a lot of corruption in American police. And clearly this show, this direct spin-off to the Batman, and Matt Reeves is highly involved with this, by the way, is going to be big commentary on the corruption in the American police force. So, the Batman spin-off Gotham PD series showrunner Joe Barton teased the HBO show's GCPD, confirming that in this iteration there are no good cops. You see, I understand where they're going with this. In a case of drama and writing, that's good. But who's the hero of this story then? Or are we actually getting Commissioner Gordon as the main guy in this story? Is it a prequel? I'm not sure. Joe Barton, the showrunner for the upcoming HBO Max series Gotham PD, revolving around the Gotham City Police Department, says the cops on the series are all bad. Barton, who stepped in as showrunner after the departure of Wolf of Wall Street's Terrence Winter, has film credits that include The Ritual of My Days of Mercy and Invasion. Barton indicates that the Batman spin-off Gotham PD will be similar in tone to the gritty feel expected from the upcoming Robert Pattinson's reboot. It's the same universe, it would have to. Per Warner Brothers, Gotham PD will flesh out the GCPD scene in The Batman and will build upon the film's examination of the anatomy of corruption in Gotham City. And the series will follow a cop in a battle for his soul. This seems to align with what Barton has explained about the show. Barton has some experience telling stories about crooked police departments, as his series Girl Haji revolved around a Tokyo detective navigating through corruption at every turn. Gotham PD showrunner Barton responded to a fan inquiry on Twitter, wondering if the series will follow good cops or bad cops. The showrunner's take was short and to the point. There are no good cops in Gotham. So Wayne G says this: hope it doesn't bother you, but I kind of want to see your response to this. If you can give one, of course. There are no good cops. Wow. Warner Brothers has confirmed that the Gotham PD is a prequel to Pattinson's The Batman. Okay, that answers that one. So Barton's tweet shouldn't be all that surprising. It is not yet clear whether Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon will be making an appearance. He will in the show, but Barton seems to suggest he won't be the leading player early on, unless his version of Gordon is corrupt when we meet him. Well, Commissioner Gordon, a commissioner isn't a cop, but then again, he starts off as a cop. And, when we call it a prequel, how much in the history of the Batman is it? It could be a year. This is a year one story, by the way, so it can't be that far away from the Batman either. So he could actually be Commissioner Gordon. But is he Commissioner Gordon in the Batman? I'm not sure. I don't know that either. Despite being completely fresh take on Batman, the corruption of the GCPD is a staple of stories featuring the Cape Crusader. The series could allow Warner Bros. And HBO Max to lay the groundwork for future sequels to The Batman, showing how police indifference allowed for the rise of the iconic criminals and villains, planting seeds for some of Batman's rogues that could show up in the later films. Without a competent GCPD to protect the city, many Batman foes could begin down a path that sees them become the antagonists the Dark Knight is famous for taking on. That particular narrative, Fred, feels like a well-worn territory in the wake of Fox's Gotham series. So hopefully Barton has something original planned for the show. I hope so too, and I think he will. He's a good guy. Little is yet known about Gotham PD, but Barton is now beginning to disclose what fans should expect from the GCPD when they tune in to watch the series on HBO Max in 2022. Let's not forget, this show lost a really good creative in the Wolf of Wall Street director or writer or whatever, right? So that's a blow, and I'd be very interested in finding out what those creative differences were, because basically, again, Warner Brothers, whether it's television or pictures, it seems like they're saying he couldn't do something, or could it be that he fell out with Matt Reeves? That sounds more realistic, doesn't it? Because Matt Reeves has got total freedom on this property. They're not messing with Matt. I can promise you, he nearly walked away with initial discussions for the Batman, so they're not going to mess with Matt. That's why Matt's movie was pushed to 2022, so he wouldn't have to be on HBO Max as well as theatres. He wants a proper, realistic theatrical run, so you don't mess around with Matt Reeves. And this guy obviously left because Matt Reeves and him just didn't agree, and unfortunately, that's how the game is played. How Wonder Woman's story ended in Snyder's original Justice League 2 and 3 plan. Zack Snyder had some big plans for Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman in Justice League 2 and 3. Had the sequels happened, Diana would have had a heroic ending. By Andy, whose surname I can't pronounce. If Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 had happened, how would the story of Diana Prince's, aka Wonder Woman, have ended in Zack Snyder's DCEU franchise? Zack Snyder's Justice League finally got to be released to the world, thanks to HBO Max, but the Snyder Cut was just the beginning of the director's Justice League story. The first installment followed the birth of the team and everyone getting together against Steppenwolf, as well as the foreshadowing, the invasion of Darkseid. In Diana's case, the Snyder Cut marked her fourth, fifth, if including the theatrical version of Justice League appearance following Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84. Since Gadot joined the DCEU, her Wonder Woman journey has followed the early days of Diana being the iconic DC heroine throughout the Wonder Woman franchise. Diana has gone up against Ares as well as Cheetah and Dreamstone influenced Maxwell Lord that takes place prior to the modern DCEU era. But it also focused on Diana's love story with Steve Trevor and her struggle in overcoming his death. Wonder Woman 3 is currently in early development with Patty Jenkins set to return to direct the prequel. However, Snyder had plans for Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 that would have rounded out his trilogy, and Wonder Woman would have been a big part of that. And you see, this is where it becomes very complicated for Warner Brothers Pictures, and this is why they don't want Zack to do Justice League 2 and Justice League 3, because Wonder Woman Gal is their central universe Wonder Woman, and they do not want him making her even more brutal or whatever he wants to do. This is where it's very problematic for them. Which one for people to embrace? How can you have, if he is part of an Elseworld, is that Gal another Wonder Woman? These are the problems that if we do restore the Snyderverse have to be ironed out for clarity. Unfortunately, Zack Snyder's Justice League won't have any follow-ups according to Warner Brothers CEO Ann Sarnoff. The studio is going forward with their other plans for the DC brand, and the Snyderverse isn't part of it. At least right now. Despite starting the DCEU, the Snyder Cut isn't seen as canon by WB, with 2017's Justice League still being their preferred Justice League movie. Snyder's Justice League plans had a lot of character arcs planned. Here's what was in store for Wonder Woman in the Snyder Cut sequels that would have brought her story to an end. In Zack Snyder's Justice League, Diana works with Bruce Wayne to put together a team of superpowered people. With Batman knowing of the coming nightmare, especially now that Superman is dead, he and Wonder Woman take it upon themselves to form a unit that would go up against the looming threat. Diana learns from her family on Themyscira that Steppenwolf had taken their mother box, and she discovers the history of Darkseid's first attempt to conquer Earth. Amazons, Atlanteans, Green Lanterns, Olympian gods, and humans join forces to stop Apocalypse, which Diana also tells Bruce later on. Together with Bruce, Diana helps recruit the new members, with Cyborg being the one she personally goes to convince. Wonder Woman is one of the heroes that is confirmed to have died in the Nightmare story. This is true during Cyborg's vision. Themyscira is also invaded by Darkseid and Apocalypse, giving a taste to viewers of the grim reality that the Amazons are in for after Diana's death. Wonder Woman and the rest of the Justice League does defeat Steppenwolf eventually, while they also get introduced to Darkseid very briefly. By the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, Wonder Woman is aiding Batman in getting the Hall of Justice set up as the team's headquarters. Additionally, the final shot of Wonder Woman teases that she might be ready to go back to Themyscira, as she hasn't returned there since leaving in 1918. In Justice League 2, Wonder Woman would have had perhaps her biggest story ever in comparison to the Snyder Cut. In the sequel, Diana would be relating to Aquaman's struggle with the people of Atlantis and their view on the surface world. Like Atlantis, the Themyscirians had given up on the rest of the Earth. Wonder Woman would regain her memories of how to get back to Themyscira thanks to the lasso of truth, but it would also show Diana her dark impending future, where she becomes the new god of war that ends up murdering Superman. Wow! Fucking hell! So I'm assuming she murders the bad Superman. No, hang on. Is this the real one? Is this like not the nightmare future? I'm a bit confused. How to get back to Themyscira thanks to the lasso of truth, but it would also show Diana her dark impending future, where she becomes the new god of war that ends up murdering Superman. So, as I say, is this nightmare future Superman or the Superman that doesn't become that horrible, evil Superman? I'm not sure about that. Lex would discover a villain from Diana's past, Dr. Moreau. Fucking hell, Lex is messing with everyone, isn't he? In the Brazilian jungle, where she's been able to keep herself alive for decades. Oh wow, it's Dr. Poison, isn't it? And she's still up to her inhuman experiments. When Dr. Moreau is given the opportunity to get revenge on Wonder Woman, she accepts Lex's offer to join the Justice League 2. Hang on a minute. How is she still alive? I don't know. Would see Wonder Woman return to Themyscira, where she and Queen Hippolyta will have had a happy reunion, but their happiness wouldn't last for long, as Dr. Moreau, as part of Lex's Injustice League, would unleash a deadly chemical gas on Themyscira. Not only does every Amazon die, but so does Queen Hippolyta and Wonder Woman. While Dr. Moreau would get killed in the process, she would have died with a smile on her face, knowing that she got her revenge on Wonder Woman. So wait, Wonder Woman dies? This is not making any sense. While Wonder Woman wouldn't be part of the Nightmare story, no, so if she kills Superman in the future, she kills the real Superman. None of this makes sense. And someone makes sense. It all sounds awesome and totally typical Zack Snyder, but I don't get any of it. While Wonder Woman wouldn't be part of the Nightmare story due to her Justice League 2 death, Justice League 3, right, so in Justice League 2, she dies, right? She actually dies of being poisoned on Themyscira. Let's get that right, so I get that. So she's not on the Nightmare sequence. So if she dies in Justice League 2, how does she kill Superman? Right, okay. Justice League 3 would see Dinah rise again thanks to the Flash successfully running back in time through the cosmic treadmill. So he undoes everything. He undoes everything. The Justice League will be able to prevent the Nightmare future from ever happening. Darkseid never gets the chance to kill Lois Lane as she... Wait a minute. Is she part... Does she die in the Nightmare future? Is that how she dies in the Nightmare future? Right, I'm getting it now. Okay. As she informs Superman and Alexis in Justice League, as each member was going to go after their respective nemesis. Dr. Maru is therefore never able to release the gas on Themyscira, preventing Wonder Woman, Queen Hippolyta, and the Amazons from dying. Instead, Dinah and the forces of Themyscira join the rest of the world in the war against Darkseid and his invasion. The ultimate battle in Justice League 3 was described by Snyder being in the veins of Lord of the Rings, where Earth all come together to fight Darkseid and Apocalypse in a full-on New Gods invasion. Look, it sounds fucking fantastic. I think I kind of getting it straight in my head what it all means. A little bit confusing with the Nightmare future and, yeah, anyway. If we're successful in restoring the Snyderverse, I really want to see this, by the way. Despite the Amazons being part of the World Alliance, Queen Hippolyta would sadly die during the battle as she saves her daughter. Yeah, that was coming, wasn't it? Their final moment together would have included Dinah being told by her mother how proud she is of her before passing away. Together, the Justice League would end up defeating Darkseid once and for all, while also losing Batman as he heroically sacrifices himself. Justice League 3 would conclude with Wonder Woman becoming the Amazons' new queen, and she would get Themyscira to reconnect to the rest of man's world in a mission to inspire and bring peace. But it didn't stop there, as Dinah would help negotiate peace between all the countries described in Snyder's storyboards. As unlike anything in history, while she's not referenced in the flash forward that takes place 20 years later in the future, her new status would conclude Snyder's Justice League 3 arc for Wonder Woman. Wow! Fucking hell! As that became Wonder Woman's incredible journey in Justice League 2 and 3, it may sadly never be on screen. But that is Dinah's future beyond Snyder Cut as she continues to progress in the DCEU. Currently, Warner Brothers is developing Wonder Woman 3 that got fast-tracked after its debut on HBO Max and limited theatrical release. Jenkins is officially going to write and direct the third untitled project, God Help Us, that includes Gadot back as the titular hero. Despite plot details being under wrap, for now, Jenkins and Gadot have been on the record that a third Wonder Woman movie would be taking place in the present time. While Jenkins wouldn't be back in the director's chair, she's producing a spin-off sequel that would follow the Amazons on Themyscira after Dinah left the island. I wonder if that's actually even going to happen. We're not hearing much about this, and now Jenkins is involved with Star Wars as well. The untitled spin-off film would also be taking place between Wonder Woman 1984 and Wonder Woman 3. But that's as far as Wonder Woman's DCEU future goes, as it's unknown what other plans they have for Gadot's character. Her contract might also at some point become relevant for discussion, as Wonder Woman 3 would complete her trilogy and mark her fifth time playing the Amazon hero after her two past solo films, Batman v Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's unclear how many films Gadot is signed on for at this point. But since Wonder Woman has become one of the most commercially and critically successful DC film franchises, it's hard to imagine Warner Brothers not already working on perhaps a sequel trilogy as well as other DCEU arcs for the character. Had Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 happened, it would have been a huge character journey for Wonder Woman. Not only would fans get to see Dinah tragically die, but Wonder Woman would have received her biggest story progression in Justice League 3 as a trilogy finale. It's not out of the question that future Wonder Woman films see Dinah becoming a new queen of Themyscira and makes the island join the rest of Earth's society. Dinah is one of the leading forces of the DCEU, hence she'll always be a huge character throughout their shared universe. However, it'll be satisfying to get to see Snyder's overall plans for Wonder Woman if the fan campaign to restore the Snyderverse sees any success in bringing about Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and Zack Snyder's Justice League 3. Wow, that was a long, interesting article. I didn't realise I was going to get so many details. Wow, I want to see the shit out of that. But I've got a little theory that some of you, maybe all of you, won't like. Grace Randolph said some suits at Warner Media, which means no one at Warner Brothers Pictures, but it doesn't matter. They don't get to say. Warner Media are the bosses, as John Stankey is the head of AT&T. But listen to me for a minute, right? What if Grace Randolph's right and Zack is given Justice League free? Think about this, right? Not Justice League free. Let me start again. Let's say Zack Snyder is given Wonder Woman free, right? So this is how they sell it to him, right? They say, listen, Zack, we're not going to give you Justice League 2. We're not going to give you Justice League 3 right now. But what we are willing for you to do is Wonder Woman 3. We are happy for you to do the storylines you were going to do with her in Justice League 2 and 3. So that, you can have one, instead of Wonder Woman 3 being the finale for Gal's Wonder Woman, what we're going to do is here for you, Zack, is give you a Wonder Woman 3 and a Wonder Woman 4, where you can take her arc from Justice League 2 and 3 and put it in your Wonder Woman 3 and 4. This would personally make me very happy. Also, it would be very frustrating for me. It would be bittersweet, because if you take that arc away from Justice League 2 and 3, that probably means we'll never get a Justice League 2 and 3. But you've also got to understand that Hamada and Abrams are probably planning their own Justice League movie. So this is why I think it's very difficult in terms of Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 to restore the Snyderverse. But after they got those 1.5 million tweets beating the trend of Avengers Endgame, they know they have got a profitable director on their books and they're not going to let him go. I can promise you that, whatever Sarnoff says. So I think what they're going to be looking for here is a compromise. But would Zack do it? Would Zack take a storyline from his Justice League 2 and Justice League 3, which pretty much may mean we'd never see those two movies, and put that arc into a Wonder Woman 3 and a Wonder Woman 4? And it's the same case for if he was to restore the Snyderverse and they gave him a couple of Henry Cavill's Superman movies, could he take Superman's arc away from Justice League 2 and 3 and bring it into his own movie? Because they've made it pretty clear that the Snyder Cut isn't canon, right? They've made it pretty clear that the Snyder Cut is Elseworld, and Zack's made that clear as well. I want to see Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 so badly. Zack Snyder's Justice League 2, Zack Snyder's Justice League 3. But my issue is, and my concern is, I can't see them doing it, not with Justice League films, because I know they want to do their own. So even if you make those Justice League 2 and 3 Elseworld, it's going to be difficult for anyone else doing a proper, central official Justice League movie as epic as Snyder can do it. Because they know this. But the thing is, I think Warner Media's and Warner Brothers Pictures' problems with Zack is basically he's a free spirit. He's a bit like Impulse. He gets an idea, he shoots it, you tell him not to do it, he still does it. They told him not to shoot any more new material for Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. He did it anyway. They wouldn't let him have his Green Lantern on. He compromised so he could put Martian Manhunter there in the end. So Zack's very difficult to manage. Not in a toxic way. He's so creative. He's a bit like Christopher Lloyd's Doc Brown. He's always got an idea in his head and he always wants to do it. That's what Zack's like, right? So he's great and it's fun for us, the consumer. But for the people he works for, it's a fucking nightmare when you're working in blockbuster movies. And so it's a very, very difficult situation. But don't be surprised if Zack is offered Wonder Woman 3 and 4 to do these things, to do these kind of arcs that he was going to do in Justice League 2 and 3. What happens to Patty? As I've said to you before, they've got an out with her. She's working on Star Wars. She's too busy. I believe that more people, even at Warner Brothers Pictures, might actually want Zack to do Justice League 3 and 4. Wonder Woman 3 and 4, rather than Patty Jenkins. They saw what a mess she made of it, and it did very well for them. It did well on HBO Max. It did okay in cinemas, but not as well as a really well epic constructed Wonder Woman movie could have done, like Wonder Woman 2017. But only the future holds the secrets and truths of what will happen to the Snyderverse and the Wonder Woman universe, and I can't wait to find out. This is one of those articles that I have to shoot down because they really trigger me. Now, this is by Nicholas Raymond of Screen Rant. Why Black Adam's new hero means it doesn't need Superman. Whenever you start an article, Nicholas, and you tell me we don't need Superman, then you're going to trigger me. Pierce Brosnan has been cast as Dr. Fate in Black Adam. The addition of the classic superhero proves that the movie doesn't need Superman. Wrong! I love Dr. Fate, but he's a different character entirely. Dr. Fate being in Black Adam shows why the upcoming DCEU movie doesn't need Superman. Black Adam and Superman are among the strongest characters in the DC universe. Due to their reputations, there's always been a great deal of interest in seeing the two clash on the big screen. But though there has been some discussions over Henry Cavill's Superman appearing in the movie, so far there's been no evidence of his inclusion. It was actually The Rock who started all this about Superman. He's always said he would love to fight Henry Cavill's Superman, and they're both represented by the same agency, which is led by The Rock's ex-wife. Regardless of whether or not the Big Boy Scout makes an appearance in the 2022 movie, Black Adam won't be short-handed when it comes to superheroes. Atom Smasher, Hawkman, Cyclone and Dr. Fate will all be making their DCEU debuts in the film. As for the role of Dr. Fate in particular, the character will be brought to life by Pierce Brosnan, who portrayed James Bond in the 90s. Like the other three heroes who will be encountering Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson, Dr. Fate, a.k.a. Kent Nelson, is a classic member of the Justice Society of America. In the comic books, Dr. Fate is known for his vast magical abilities. Basically, the most awesome thing about Dr. Fate is he knows the future, or he knows a version of the future, and it drives him absolutely round the bend. It's a fascinating concept. Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate is a major addition to Black Adam, and one that could easily make up for the absence of Superman. Nothing can make up for the absence of Henry Cavill's Superman in the DCEU. After all, it's important to note that the last son of Krypton is far from the only powerhouse in DC Comics. As Sorcerer equipped with an incredibly powerful helmet, there aren't many heroes or villains who can go toe-to-toe with Dr. Fate and come out on top. With all his arcane knowledge, there's not much he can't accomplish with his magical spells. He can heal himself, and others manipulate numerous forms of energy. Fly, read minds, create force fields, and more. Apart from all these powers, he also has enough strength and durability to engage in intense physical battles as well. When taking everything that Dr. Fate is capable of in DC Comics into consideration, it's easy to see why he'd be a massive challenge for Black Adam. As fun as Superman vs. Black Adam fight would be, Dr. Fate vs. Black Adam could be just as interesting, since the JSA hero brings so much to the table with this mastery of the magical arts. Battle between the two characters would promise to be a visual spectacle and possibly one of the biggest highlights of the movie. With all this in mind, including Superman at this point would seem wholly unnecessary. It is never unnecessary, Nicholas, to include Superman. Does this kind of show that you're not really a superhero DC Comics fan? A potential fight between Black Adam and Superman is the primary reason why he's such a big talking point for the movie, but the problem with having him there is that it would risk overshadowing or distracting from Dr. Fate. Nope. And the Justice Society would be better for Black Adam to focus on the anti-hero himself and the movie's Justice Society heroes, rather than bring in Superman, who the film no longer needs. In Dr. Fate, the JSA has a character who has what it takes to deliver a thrilling one-on-one superhero showdown. Right, Nicholas, you're wrong. First of all, clearly you haven't seen the Smallville movie event Absolute Justice, where Clark Kent and Dr. Fate got on really well. He was telling Clark about his future. So you can have one and the other. Either, I don't know where kind of this has come from. It's a very ambiguous article. It could be a hit piece from Warner Brothers Pictures to try and say, hey, you don't need Henry Cavill's Superman. You've already got Dr. Fate. But basically, Nicholas, let's be absolutely clear here. Superman would uplift anything he's in, and he wouldn't be overshadowing anyone. I hope you have learned a lesson here, Nicholas. And finally today, the Snyder Cut has its own honest trailer, makes fun of useless Justice League members. A brand new honest trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League has just dropped and hilariously pokes fun at a few of the film's flaws by Brittany Bailey. By the way, all films are flawed. Anything made by human hands is flawed. But Zack Snyder's Justice League is pretty perfect and has very few flaws. The honest trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League has just dropped, and with it, a bevy of critiques surrounding the new film. This new version of Justice League was just released on HBO Max following a multi-year fan campaign to get Warner Bros. To release the Snyder Cut. Warner Bros. Was never planning to do this until February of last year, when the Snyder Cut was announced to be released on HBO Max. The Snyder Cut was finally greenlit partly as an effort to bring new content to Warner Bros.' new streaming service. Most critics argue that the Snyder's version of Justice League is a vast improvement upon the original theatrical cut, completed and directed by Joss Whedon in 2017. Justice League has a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, while Snyder's version has a 72% rating. There are many differences between the two films, the biggest being Snyder's 4-hour runtime compared to Whedon's 2-hour version. Despite mostly positive reviews, many critics still think that the film has quite a few flaws. As I say, every film is flawed. It's really a pointless thing to talk about. The brand new Screen Junkies honest trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League lightly pokes fun at the movie while pointing out a few of the film's flaws. Some of their critiques include the overuse of Wonder Woman's theme. It's a beautiful theme by Junkie XL. You want to go and watch Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. I thought they ever used that theme, and I never thought I'd grow tired of that theme. But no, absolutely a crap. It's clear that they found very few flaws in this film, and they were really, really scraping the bottom of the barrel. So, theme. The reliance of multiple grey CGI characters, and that I don't get, and the overabundance of Justice League slow-motion shots. These are not flaws. I'm sorry to tell you that. They use one hilarious example of how the Flash's slow-motion scenes depicting the Speedster's superpowers are given the same weight as the slow-motion shots of Lois Lane simply putting down a cup of coffee. Basically, again, this is not a flaw. It's the director's style of doing something. And actually, that's a very important time when she puts that down. This is what he does. He's a visual director. But anyway, if you want to call it a flaw, it's up to you. It is important to note that not everyone may agree with these criticisms. No, nearly nobody will. Zack Snyder's Justice League audience score is an outstanding 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, so clearly audiences enjoyed the movie. In fact, since the film's release, fans have already decided to make Restore the Snyderverse trend. This is an effort to convince Warner Bros. To continue with the DC films that Snyder was originally planning to make with these characters. The Restore the Snyderverse hashtag even reached over 1 million tweets when it recently trended. This is something that the honest trailer also talked about and criticised the Snyder Cut for after intentionally leaving the film open to so many sequel opportunities. Again, you can criticise that if you want, but Snyder has been tactically astute and aware here to make the fight to restore the Snyderverse even stronger. Now, if you haven't got the intelligence to understand that, Screen Junkies, that's your problem. The honest trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League playfully, humorously critiques many of the story elements with the film. Although some audiences may feel differently, critics do share a lot of the same issues with the film. Despite this, it's still great to see the Snyder Cut finally be released after such a long and bumpy road. Will the Snyderverse ever see the light of day? Many would love to see it happen, but Warner Bros. Doesn't seem to be interested in continuing with his storyline. Despite the Snyder Cut's success, for now, audiences will have to settle for watching Zack Snyder's Justice League on repeat on HBO Max. Right. None of these flaws are relevant because they're not actually flaws. It's really funny when this woman who writes the article says, yeah, many critics agree. I've read a lot of reviews and I haven't seen these critics say things like this. So I don't know where she's looking. Maybe the Feminist Times or the Feminist Journal, or I don't know, the Mary Sue. I don't know, but I certainly haven't seen these flaws depicted. So let's look at these flaws. One of them is that Superman is too powerful and the Justice League is useless. Right, Superman's come from the dead. He's come from the dead, right? This is his big comeback. He's here to play his part. And of course he's going to be overpowered. But every member of the Justice League isn't useless. Without Barry Allen's Speed Force, how is Cyborg going to be able to go inside the Mother Box? Cyborg isn't useless because they need him to go inside the Mother Box. Batman does his thing. Wonder Woman literally chops off Steppenwolf's head. Superman is never going to do that. So Zack actually depicts that every one of these members of this Justice League is useful. So again, Screen Junkies, what you've done is you've looked at a film. You can't find any flaws. So you've tried to find silly little things. I'm sorry, this time, Screen Junkies, and some of your material is hilarious. This time, it's you who needs the review to bring out your flaws, not Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm sorry, you have failed your videos. Anyway, comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily, exposing the narrative of all these idiots. See you again soon.